Pathfinding sucks.
Pathfinding sucks.
Every time you go through a door or you exit anywhere, your characters like forget how to walk. It's like my teenager self whenever I saw the girl that I liked. Duh, 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 duh.
Duh, 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 duh. Duh, 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 duh.
That's usually not a big deal, but when you're trying to exit a cave full of monsters, or you have to go all the way back from a dungeon to a temple because your freaking character died, and that's pretty much all the time, it is so annoying. Even the enhanced edition could not fix that. I heard it's even worse in the original game. So that's the improvement, I guess. Okay, but naturally we know it's a very old engine, the legendary Infinity engine, and I know pathfinding sucks in pretty much every single game. I've worked on several different strategy games, including Age of Empires 2, which is also a very old engine, and it's a nightmare. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. I feel lighter now. Hey guys, it's Harry. I've been a game designer and producer for the past 11 years, and I'm playing and beating Baldur's Gate 1 for the first time now in 2026. I did not play the original game back in the day, but I have quite some experience with CRPGs and I love old style CRPGs like that. Pillars of Eternity, Tyranny, Wasteland 2 and 3 are some of the best games that I ever played. I'm a true fan of the genre. Currently I have some 50 hours into BG1 and I intend to go straight to Baldur's Gate 2 once I complete this one. So this video is interesting because I'm here to offer my take both as a fresh player of the game as well as a game developer. Baldur's Gate 1 is a masterpiece, there's no discussion about that, and I love it. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't have its flaws, right? And many times it's very annoying flaws. So this video is for us to talk about that and some of the design weaknesses that I see in my opinion. So leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's talk about Baldur's Gate. Well, we already started with number 8, which is pathfinding, so number 7 is... Number 7. Characters miss 90% of the time. Or at least that's how it feels like. My god, who thought that was a good balance? This is so annoying and totally destroys the fantasy of the game. That you're controlling heroes, mighty fantastical paladins that will overcome all evil with the utmost ferocity and mastery. Even if I started the game missing 90% of the time, but then got more skilled and more accurate over time, it would have been okay. But that's pretty much not what happens, because I'm 50 hours into the game and my 6 characters surround a single freaking spider and they cannot hit it. I've heard that's because of the AD&D 2nd edition rule set, but honestly, that is no excuse. If you playtest the game and your characters will frustrate you all the way through by missing attacks the whole game, you gotta do something about it. Other later games like Pillars of Eternity fix that so your character feels weak at first, but they don't miss so much. Missing is the exception, not the rule. Because missing attacks more often than hitting is one of the most frustrating things in any game like ever. It is okay if my characters start weak and my attacks are not effective. Maybe I need to look for the enemy's weaknesses, totally fine. But seeing my mighty heroes missing attacks left and right is simply ridiculous. Number 6. Companions are unidimensional. I don't want to be unfair here because we know we're talking about a game from 1998. Those were different times, sure. But even though companions are fun and they have many interesting quests for you to resolve, they can feel quite monotonous. If a character is good, they're always good. All the time. All of their comments are benevolent. The opposite is also true. Evil characters almost 100% of the time will add evil comments now and then about other companions or a specific situation. Naturally, that coming from the D&D alignment system of good and evil. That is expected. Also, there are some exceptions like Nira. She's a possible romantic relationship of your main character, even though she is a new character from the enhanced edition in 2013, not the original game. But in general, the characters feel a little bit shallow to me. Other games like Fallout 2, also released in 1998, have some more interesting character development in that regard. Number 5. Reviving characters suck. Sure, it's a hard game, and I love hard games. Whenever I can, I only play games on the hard mode, especially because I'm probably not playing the same game twice back to back. So if I can, I usually start on hard. But there are ways and ways to make a game harder. Giving the enemies 10 times more HP is not necessarily a great way to steepen the difficulty of a game, just as an example. And reviving characters in BG1 is simply annoying. When a character dies, they drop all of their items and equipment on the ground. You have to collect it all if you want, for which most of the time I don't have full inventory space for that, and then you have to traverse back to a town with a temple so you can spend some money to resurrect the characters. And characters will die very often, even to a small group of regular enemies like a kobold or spiders, even on regular difficulties, which means that I would have to go back and forth all the time to resurrect my party. In practice, it doesn't make any sense because I can simply save the game at every second and load the game if a character dies. I don't like to do that, I think it's a bit lame, but Baldur's Gate incentivizes you very hard to do that. It's simply free labor if you don't, you're simply giving your life away. You can see that's a strategy used a lot in older games that try to extend your lifetime with the game, making you spend 100 hours because you went back and forth so much. And I think that's lame design, let's be honest. Give me a system that I can gladly resurrect my characters instead of simply loading the game, which is 1,000 times better. There's no reason for me not to do it. Number 4. Warrior classes are simply tanks. In later games like Pillars of Eternity or Dragon Age Origins, your warriors have abilities like taunts or knockdowns that are very fun and tactical to use in combat. You can concentrate enemy fire or stun powerful enemies, protecting your mages more effectively. Some games like Pillars also have this engagement mechanic, so that enemies will lock onto a character that's close to them and they suffer damage and penalties if they change targets. That's also a way for you to put your warrior at the forefront of battle and make sure they will take the enemy's attacks. In Baldur's Gate 1 there's none of that. Your warrior is simply a guy with a lot of health and heavy armor. They are not particularly effective in hitting the enemies. Archers and mages deal a lot more damage and are a lot more effective. And at least in my playthrough, warrior classes are too simplistic. Yes, you can multi-class or choose hybrid classes that have various spells and abilities, but I would really like to have a pure warrior with melee attacks with a more interesting gameplay. In Baldur's Gate 1, they pretty much have the simple role of tanking attacks, and that's it. Number 3. Magic is way too OP. The other side of the coin is that wizards and spells in Baldur's Gate 1 are simply too powerful. That is good and bad. There are a lot of cool and interesting spells in BG1, and I love the fact that spells are not just for damage. Actually, many of the better spells are buffs for your heroes and penalties for the enemies. Like you can stun enemies or blind them, you can cast horror or confusion and enemies will start attacking each other or fleeing. And that's cool, that's very fun to play. But it gets to a point where not using those spells in combat makes it like 500% harder for no reason. There's the spell that you can collectively make the enemies sleep for several rounds, giving you more than enough time to slay them all. So an encounter that would be freakishly hard if you simply even use other spells then becomes trivial. Especially when you have single powerful enemies. You can be totally demolished in like 2 seconds, or you can cast a horror spell and they'll be 100% nullified. This all or nothing situation is somewhat boring to me. I like diversified battles that you can apply different strategies and see them coming through. Not casting a single spell and automatically winning. And that means that not taking a mage into your party is a sure way of making the game 3 times harder. Which is, can be interesting in its own way. Oh, and fighting against mages is a total pain in the ass. So you absolutely have to have ways to deny the enemy spells. Tanking them is almost always not an option. Number 2. Maps are mostly empty. In BG1 there's towns and there's forests and wastelands. You face various enemies when traversing the wastelands on the map, which is cool. The world map has a big number of places that you can go. But they are mostly empty. The forests and stuff, they are mostly empty. There's not a lot of incentive for you to explore. There's enemies to fight and experience is always good, but my feeling is traversing a lot of this forest and all is simply going from point A to point B and killing some monsters on the way. In our video on Final Fantasy IX, I mentioned a very simple thing developers did that increased the incentive for exploration twofold. Every little place could hide a secret item, so that the player was always making sure to explore every corner of the map for that juicy loot. Here you barely get that incentive. To my disappointment, even the different districts in the city of Baldur's Gate itself were many times kinda empty. Maybe a couple of common NPCs to give you a line or two, a house that you could break into and steal some things if you wanted, but not a lot more than that. I can say that rewarding exploration is definitely not Baldur's Gate 1's main strength. Let's put it that way. Number 1. Story development is slow and late. I am 50 hours into the game and I still don't know what's going on. I mean, I have some good sense because of some spoilers that I got from videos I watched, but from playing the game itself, I know surprisingly little of the main quests of the game. That would not be a problem if the game didn't set such a big expectation from the start. You have this mystery in the first few minutes of play, and then apparently you spend most of the journey not knowing what the hell's going on. The side quests are very good, so they alone give you a sense of progressing through the world because the story is divided into chapters, and each chapter will contain different side quests, so that's nice. But it would be pretty obvious and natural to me that by the end of each chapter you would uncover a relevant part of the mystery or the story about your place in all of this. You don't. I was told Baldur's Gate 2 was paced better, but BG1 is pretty lacking in that regard. Baldur's Gate is definitely one of the best RPGs ever made, especially considering the historical context of 1998. And it's great to see that even masterpieces have flaws, or things that would not please all players. All of that doesn't take the status of a masterpiece from Baldur's Gate. It's my opinion given this playthrough that I'm having comparing to other CRPGs that I've played and adding a little bit of my own game design skills on top of that. This even gives me slight hopes that one day I myself can produce a masterpiece. If masterpieces are flawed, then maybe my own is coming. Who knows, that's a dream. Alright, that's it. I'm still enjoying the game quite a lot, even though I have just died over and over in the catacombs, but what can you do? That's the CRPG lifestyle. Let me know in the comments below if you agree or disagree with my points. Tell me a little bit about your own experience with Baldur's Gate, and I'll catch you guys next time.